Hey, all right. It is yet another day. It's not study Monday because that was yesterday. Today is a new day and I think a new character or new topic. I feel like a new topic is in order. Hey Gria, how's it going? And for those who didn't see, I finished the mermaid yesterday. As finished as I'm gonna make it. I spent a lunch stream painting on it. Some of you were there. Some of you weren't. So I thought I'd show. Hey, Dr. Sheldon. But I posted it on my socials. So you can, if you want to see it, you can go there. Hey, Bruno Romanos, how's it going? Not on ArtStation though, yet. So today, cheers, Bruno. Hey, Hunred. What up? So today, let's do a new character. I'm open for suggestion. Any random topic that comes to your mind, suggest it. I'll roll the dice, and if your topic is chosen, I'll do it in half an hour. So we'll see what you can come up with, what you can conjure up, and I'll do a dice roll. So usually what I've asked for is if it's a fantasy theme, I'm going to put it in the category of dark fantasy. It's an ongoing series of concepts where I make a little bit more mature fantasy, if you may. A little bit less men in tights, a little bit more scary darkness. Hey, Miss Monster, how's it going? So, but it doesn't necessarily. I mean, I'm going to try to, whatever you suggest, I'm going to try to force into that category of dark fantasy. Because it's an ongoing series I'm having quite a lot of fun with designing. Hey, Captain Boss, how's it going? Oh, man, one man wolf pack. Octopus woman. So it's mermaid and octopus woman, right? Minotaur, that's a pretty cool. I'd look forward to do a dark fantasy Minotaur. Could be cool. Boom! Oh Jesus! Oh yeah! Captain Bowles getting his number 9, the powerful number 9. Cloak of Thorns. That's pretty cool. Cloak of Thorns. What could that be? That could be anything, actually. Pretty cool. Miss Monster, Godzilla, right? Harpy on rollerblades. All right. Wraith Gatherer. Wraith Gatherer. Right. Let's do the dice roll. I think it's about time. It's about 6 topics, I'd say. And as per usual, it is, come on, it is not this dice, but this one. Number 9, 2 times in a row. There you go. So number 1 was Octopus Woman. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, all right. Octopus woman, woman, woman by Bruno Romanos. Venga donde aquí, Bruno Romanos. Hey, how's it going? What up? Okay, Octopus woman. Okay. Okay. One thing I loved about octopus piece, one octopus, many octopus, octopuses, octopi. What is the right word? I don't know how you put one octopus in plural. Octopi, octopods. It's octopods. All right. What I always loved about octopods is their clinging ability, like how they wrap around something and they stretch out, but the tentacles are like crushing it. And that's kind of what I've seen in my head, but I don't have a pose for the woman. But like a little bit of Dali, like on a, she's, yeah. What's the picture in my head? Try to solidify it. Okay, that's a pretty cool idea. Eric, how's it going? So octopus woman, because there's a woman involved, I can't just make an octopus, right? But what I saw in my head was a woman, half octopus, like a centaur, with a spear, like stabbing downwards, like lots of motion, which isn't really in the pose yet, but kind of like that, and then like Medusa almost, but an octopus, right? So the tentacles is wrapping around a pillar like that, and the tentacles are ferociously. She's holding herself up with the tentacles, right? That's the picture I solidified. I had a couple of others, like on a rock or wrangling something, but it didn't feel right. Catching dinner, yeah. Eric, how's it going? I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine. Yeah, I mean, have you seen what are they called? They are called cuttlefish. Cuttlefish is absolutely mesmerizing. They are far more interesting than octopus in their ability to transform and ability to do color displays and all sorts of things. Zealand, yeah, me too. I've seen that. I've seen a documentary about it as well. And they also found a cuttlefish with poison. And the poison in that cuttlefish is the highest I think it was, if my memory serves me right, is the highest concentrated poison in the world. If I remember correctly, I can be wrong about that, but the specifics. But they found a cuttlefish with a poison that was like, I think it was super potent. Yeah, the cuttlefish themselves are super cute. They look like a Pokemon. And their camouflage abilities and all those things are absolutely staggering. The ability to completely change texture, completely change shape is just, you just look at it and go, you what? And then they also can do like rainbow radial effects. They can do black and white moving patterns that hypnotizes the prey, and all these things, and it's like aliens. You are 100% alien. You are not native to this world. When you see it, you go like, no, this is an alien visitor from outer space, you know. Absolutely. They are fascinating, and I think we've seen the same documentary as the alien. Um, Potentially the same. There's a couple of them out there, but not that many. You know, cuttlefish is not the go-to move when it comes to sea documentaries. But in that documentary, they did test their intelligence, their ability to learn, their ability to come to conclusions, and so on. Miss Monster. Yeah, absolutely. Especially like the deep sea stuff. Those are like things of nightmare. Zealand, yeah, we saw the same documentary. We saw the same documentary. It's so funny. Another interesting series of documentaries, which isn't that famous anymore. It happens to humans too. Uh, but still, as far as I remember, really, really good. It's now maybe 10 years old, this documentary, so it's probably a little bit outdated. Um, but it's called Private Life of Plants, and it used to be like the go-to documentaries many years ago for concept artists. That was like the hot topic. Like, oh, have you seen Private Life of Plants? If you haven't, you have to go watch it. And it was you traded the copy. You know, like, oh, I have a copy of of Private Life of Plants. Like, oh, can I have a copy? I'd love to. And there's two documentaries of the same maker. One is called The Private Life of Plants. And the second one is called either Two or something similar in the same principle, like Private Life of Reptiles, or I don't really remember. But I know that there's two, but they are really, really amazingly made. At least 10 years ago. Today, I don't know. I don't know if they hold up in time, but they were really, really good. I don't like the shape of the tentacles here. But what I used to do, it came to my mind when talking about cuttlefish and strange animals and so on. What I used to do was I asked a friend to come up with basic principles of an animal. In 95, oh, even longer than 10 years then. It's like 20 years ago. What I used to do was, like I said, I used to ask a friend to come up with a principle of an animal. like an animal that hunts by light, a desert creature, or a desert snake, or whatever. Just basic principles of animals. And I would ask, I would then start, like as a concept artist or as an art director, start conjuring up function, existence, name, all these things to kind of try to validify, I guess, or solidify rather, the look and feel of the creature or the animal. I have still a few of them online. It was like a fish that hunts with light, a desert snake or a desert worm. All these things was really good fun practice, and it reminded me of that, like this like cuttlefish, which is an extremely amazing creature, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, too many, 7, too few, and but it's absolutely plausible, right? But because it exists, it's not something that someone has made up, right? Cuttlefish are real, even though when you talk about them, they don't sound real. Yeah, the private life of plants, there should be 2 of them. Either way, it's a really fascinating documentary. It's really. Hey Tormod, how's it going? But what I wanted to get to was as a when you put your concept art thinking hat on, and you get challenged to draw some creature that doesn't exist, but nature always make it functional. Usually, I mean, not by some sort of master design, but through natural selection. Those that mutate in a way that doesn't work in their favor, they will die off, and that random ass strain won't live. You know, they won't be able to survive. So that mutation is extinct, right? Where the mutation that do occur, that does aid them in their survival, they will manage to survive. So that becomes a trait that is further perpetuated through generations, right? So it's the same principle where like there was this interesting discussion a friend of mine talked about, that where people were talking to a geneticist and asking him or her rather why genes exist, and she answered, well, principally that question is flawed, because genes don't have a reason for their existence, right? Like the expression of them is what's important, and what over a period of time, that expression, there's multiple different expressions constantly, and time is the only thing that will either remove them or keep them. And then the ones that are kept, those expressions that are kept, that are aiding us, they will be perpetuated, right? It's not that there's a grand idea of a genetic expression. It is random mutation, and only through selection that becomes perpetuated, right? There's not like a goal, like there isn't the end of the line of that genetic expression. It's not like it trying to reach from A to B. So that was really, it's a really valid point about genetic expression and so on, and even more so about animal and their extremely peculiar tendencies and mating rituals and so on. And it's not like a grand design in that this is the way it is because of that. That's very vague, but it is only due to the fact that it has been expressed in that way and it works. And those times it doesn't work, those, for example, like a mating ritual with birds, those male that fail and they do it wrong, they won't mate and they won't get offspring that then will mimic the male's mating ritual, that would then in return will, but it's so easy for humans to forget, because we like with, let's say, what was the thing, like with I'm going to paraphrase, but let's say a dragonfly, right? They have a 1-day time span, but for them that 1-day time span is their life, right? For their perception of it is a full day. They're like, holy shit, I can't believe we got a full day to live. And maybe their perception of time is significantly different from us, right? For them, 1 full day of living could be perceived as a full human life, in that sense that they don't know differently, right? So then like the genetic expression or history and the humans, and like for us, we can't see further than our life, right? We can't perceive anything that's bigger than our life, because we can only get a grasp of it through anecdotal evidence, right? Like we can't grasp 400 years ago. We can only like read about it. But from 400 years ago till now, like we don't have an understanding of that span. Absolutely impossible for us to understand that time span, because we can't live that long and we can't grasp that understanding, that feeling, And that's why there's always discussing this in terms of evolution and genetic expression, that with genetic expressions that there is no goal, that it is random mutation and only survival of the fittest, so to speak, will maintain that expression. And we can't really grasp the fact that it's over thousands of generations, and that a genetic expression or behavior of a creature or animal acts a certain way. It's not because there's a purpose, because it's trial and error for such a huge time span we can't grasp, which is such an interesting topic. Hey Team Remers, thanks for the raid. What up? How's it going, everyone? Welcome. Stinky cheese. What's up? Here, have some gold warm-ups. Yeah, but I love watching nature documentaries, and I love the all the strange things nature have created through evolution is just absolutely amazing. and the fact that we have something that is an octopus or a cuttlefish, and then we have something that is a camel, and then we have something that is a human, and it's absolutely amazing. Hey, Sneaky, how's it going? You know, which makes me think about like what does the future have in store? You know, what will we see in thousand year from now, 1,000 year from now? Like, how far can something travel in terms of evolution in 1,000 years? I mean, humans haven't really changed that much in 1,000 years. I mean, there is occasions of a genetic expression changing, you know. Zealand, yeah, that's also also an interesting topic about giraffes, is that they are at their evolutionary ladder's end. There was another documentary I read about that the evolution of the giraffe, if they change more, which obviously things do over time, giraffes will eventually die out. That they have evolved to the point where they're at the limit of their physicality. Like, if they evolve longer, like they've grown longer necks all the time and so on. You know, that's their expression of their genetic direction that they're traveling in, and and they say that they will not be able to reproduce if they keep evolving, and that then their body won't be able to support their longer neck, so they will die off. Like, if they mutate a lot in their offspring, that then the neck is significantly longer, the babies won't survive. Which then makes me think, with all these endangered animals, that the scope of error is so minimal. One immediate level, yeah, exactly. That was going to be my point. Like, with enough numbers, quantity of animals, and genetic differences is fine. Like, oh, that family will die off. Like, it's okay because we got all these giraffe families, and they'll keep making babies, and then the evolution can make mistakes. But if there's only like two families left, like the dice roll of evolution has such a greater impact. Like, if let's say there's only two families left, and you take a dice roll and you say, okay, from 1 to 4, all babies will die. And every time they make a baby, you roll the dice. There's a quite high chance of those babies dying, right? But if there's 100 giraffe families and you roll the dice, yeah, there's going to be a lot of dead babies in evolution, but the fact that there's going to be enough surviving giraffes in order to stop growing their neck, so that they will maintain their genetic, they slightly change the direction. But that's going to be, with all endangered animals, that's the biggest problem. The casualty of randomness. Zealand, yeah, exactly. They have a long neck for a reason. Because they can eat the green leaves high up in savannah and whatever. Desert situations where there's no green things at the lower level. It's all high up. yeah, obviously you could hear I'm fascinated by animals and evolution. It is a very cool thing. As a concept artist, especially, I love reading and watching about that, and educating myself in how it works. Because if you have to create something that doesn't exist, you better know principles of things that do exist, you know, so that you can bastardize, play a virtual god when it comes to creating something, you know. That's one of the fascinating things about being a creative person and having it as your job and populating a world where there are rules set to the world. Like, oh, there's fire demons all over the place. Then you go, all right, fire. You know, what does fire do to a world? Oh, the gases, sulfur, lava, you know, difference in chemical, air pollution, all these things. And then you go, okay, what happens to animals when there's air pollution? What kind of animals exist in a very acidic sulfur world, and so on and so on and so on. And you don't necessarily need to go demons. You can go differently. You can go, you know. That's why, for example, ASMR. That's why, for example, I remember Private Life of Plants back in the days were such a really interesting documentary, because they were talking about very specific cases of very rare expression of evolution, like the cannibal plants and whatever, you know, meat-eating plants, and it's not just a daffodil, you know. So that's a lot of people started realizing that, like, as a concept artist, there's a lot more scope to play around with rather than the generic ideas, you know. Because like when was that documentary out? 98. That's like the baby days of concept art. Sneaky, yeah, absolutely. And what I think what's even more fascinating with the sea is that we don't know it all. We haven't seen it all. We're finding constantly new things popping up, and the same goes to the Amazons, and rainforests and so on, because they're so dense, and people have a hard time trekking there because it's very unpleasant. There's a lot of things we haven't seen yet, or thought have died out, and all of a sudden, hey, we just found a massive colony of these things living in the Amazons, you know, because no one is there all the time. This is the same with the sea. We can't be in the deep in the deep sea situation constantly, because we get fucked, you know. It's going to be too much air pressure, air runs out, very unhospitable circumstances. So you can send in down robots, but robots run on batteries. You are also in the middle of the sea, so how do you charge batteries, and so on and so forth, you know. But yeah, I'm glad that we do find more creatures and animals, and a lot of them, I think, have many answers to things we need. You know, like finding new cures for things, and I mean, they did a couple of years ago, maybe 10. They found manatee that never grows old. It has a function to renew its own cells constantly. And they've done a lot of jellyfish, not manatee. They managed to do lots of tests on it. And getting closer to our key to living forever. Oh, it's a pretty good start. Not where I would have wanted to be in after half an hour, but I think I have a base to move forward with, which is a strong base. So I think it's better that I have not a fully finished sketch, but a good base to work off from, so that I'll get a stronger finished painting. But Octopus Woman by Bruno Romanos. Thanks for the topic, Bruno. It was a good fun, I think, to draw Octopus Woman. I don't think, I mean, I've done it once or twice, I think, but it's a very rare thing for me, at least, to draw. So it's interesting. Oh, thank you. I think I need to stretch the canvas a little bit, because she's kind of getting boxed in by the canvas. And there's things I want to change, but overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy. Let's raid someone. Who can we raid? All right, we're gonna raid. Is that how you spell her name? Hey Max, yeah, always. Well, I mean, that's the curse of my stream, right? It's only half an hour, and how can you time it? But anyways, see you guys tomorrow morning. I will keep working on this one tomorrow morning. Give it some color. Kind of bring it down a little bit more to kind of being solidified. For all you raiders out there that just joined, yesterday I finished this mermaid, and I was surprised that I got yet another aquatic theme. This is a mermaid, kind of in the dark fantasy theme. So this is going to be in the same category at some point. Max, I can't do 1 hour warm-ups because it's a half an hour at the beginning of the day at the studio, and then we do business stuff all day. So I can't, but it is what it is. Cuttlefish Woman next, yeah. Cheers, team members. All right, so as per usual, we're gonna raid, and I'm gonna do the outro, and after the outro, I'm gonna take us to the raid. So hang tight. Thanks everyone for joining in. Good night if you're that part of the world. Have a great day if you're in this part of the world. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. Thanks for the raid, team members. Adios.